The Akatsuki and the Homunculi are two formidable groups from the anime world of Naruto and Fullmetal Alchemist respectively. Both groups are composed of powerful and unique individuals, each with their own abilities and strengths. Analyzing how the Akatsuki could combat the Homunculi involves understanding their capabilities of each member of each respective group and how they strategically can be used in a confrontation. The Akatsuki is a notorious organization in the Naruto universe, is composed of rogue ninjas with incredible and unique abilities. Each member brings a distinct set of skills to the group, making them a formidable force. This section will dive into the abilities of each member, highlighting their strengths and contributions to the organization. Starting off with Pain. Pain, or slash Nagato, is the frontman leader of the Akatsuki. He wields the Rinnegan, which is one of the most powerful dojutsus in the Naruto universe. With the Rinnegan, Pain can use all 6 types of chakra nature transformations and possess the 6 paths of pain. This technique allows him to control 6 bodies simultaneously, each with its unique abilities, such as the Diva Path's gravity manipulation and the Naraka Path's ability to summon the King of Hell. Next up is Konan. Konan is a master of origami, and she uses this skill set in her paper release. She can create multiple paper for various purposes, including creating paper weapons and transforming herself into paper to avoid attacks. Her ultimate technique, the Paper Person of God, involves creating billions of explosive tags to annihilate her enemies, but this is just with prep time if we were to give her that. Next we have Itachi. Itachi Uchiha is a prodigious ninja known for his Sharingan and Mangekyou Sharingan. His Sharingan grants him enhanced visual perception and the ability to copy techniques. The Mangekyou Sharingan allows him to use powerful techniques like Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, and Susanoo. Amaterasu produces indistinguishable black flames, Tsukuyomi traps an opponent in a torturous illusion, and Susanoo provides formidable defense in the form of the Yata, which is an indestructible shield that creates and changes its properties in accordance to whatever it's colliding with, and a very strong offense in the form of the Totsuka blade, which can indefinitely seal anything it pierces. Next we have Kisame. Kisame Hoshigake is known as the monster of the Hidden Mist Village. He wields the Samehada, which is a sentient sword that absorbs chakra. Kisame has immense physical strength and a vast chakra reserves. He can fuse with Samehada as well to enhance his abilities further and use water release techniques to create massive water bodies and sharks to overwhelm his opponents. Deidara is an explosives artist who can use earth release to create explosive clay. He can mold these clays into various shapes such as birds and spiders, which can detonate at will. His most devastating technique is the C4 Kurua, which releases microscopic bombs that invade the target's body and causes external explosions. Sasori is a puppet master who converted his own body into a puppet. He controls a vast array of puppets, including the third Kazekage, known for his Iron Sand technique. Sasori's puppets are equipped with various hidden weapons and poisons, making him lethal in combat. His ability to manipulate multiple puppets simultaneously also makes him a formidable opponent. Hidan is an immortal zealot who practices the Jashin ritual. His primary ability is a ritual that links his body to his opponents. By drawing a circle of blood and standing in it, any damage Hidan inflicts on himself is mirrored onto his opponent. This gruesome technique makes him a dangerous foe, as he can endure lethal injuries while ensuring his opponent's demise. Kakazu is a mercenary with a unique ability to extend his life by stealing hearts. He possesses 5 hearts, each allowing him to use different chakra nature transformations. Kakazu can detach and control threads from his body to attack and defend. His Earth Grudge Fear technique enables him to sew his body parts back together and repair damage. Zetsu is a unique member of the Akatsuki, composed of 2 personalities, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. Zetsu can merge with the ground and plants, making him an excellent spy, but he can also possess the ability to absorb chakra and replicate himself. Tobi, or Obito Uchiha, as he is later revealed, wields the Sharingan and the Mangekyou Sharingan. His most notable ability is Kamui, which is a space-time ninjutsu that allows him to transport parts of his body to another dimension, making him intangible and enabling teleportation. And with access to certain cells in his body, he's also able to regenerate at a decent rate. And just for clarity, just in case anyone's wondering, we are using the orange mask Obito from the series, not white mask War Arc to Obito with the Rinnegan. Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin, is a former member of the Akatsuki. He's a master of forbidden jutsu and has experimented extensively on himself to gain immortality. Orochimaru can also regenerate from almost any injury and use powerful techniques like summoning. Now we move on to the Homunculi. Fullmetal Alchemist is a popular manga and anime series that features a group of artificial humans known as the Homunculi. These beings possess unique abilities that make them a formidable adversary. Each homunculus is named after one of the 7 deadly sins and exhibits powers that reflect their namesake. This section will explore the abilities of each homunculus in detail. The first homunculus we'll start off with is Lust. She possesses the ultimate spear, which can extend her fingers into razor-sharp claws that can slice through almost anything, including steel. These claws can extend to great lengths and very quickly, making her a deadly opponent in both close and long-range combat. Lust can also regenerate, making her very difficult to kill, as she can heal from pretty much almost any injury rapidly. Gluttony, representing the sin of gluttony, has a ferocious appetite and the ability to consume anything with his powerful jaws. His most terrifying ability is his false gate, a portal in his stomach that leads to an alternate dimension. This portal can devour anything in its path, including people and objects. objects, trapping them in a void. Gluttony is also able to regenerate from almost any attack. Envy, representing the sin of envy, has the power of shapeshifting. Envy can transform into any person or creature, making them a master of disguise and infiltration. This ability allows envy to manipulate others and gather information easily. Envy's true form is a massive, grotesque creature, and in this form, they possess immense strength and durability. Envy, like all the other homunculi, are still able to regenerate at a noteworthy rate. Greed, embodying the sin of greed, has the ability of the ultimate shield. Greed can transform his body into an indestructible karma-based substance, making him nearly invincible to physical attacks. This ability provides both offensive and defensive advantages, as Greed can use this to enhance his physical attacks and protect himself from harm. And in this fight, we're going to use Greed absorbed into Ling Yao, a Xingyi's prince who has incredible hand-to-hand and swordplay capabilities, as well as precise sensory capabilities. Greed's regen in this case is also really formidable, allowing him to heal from injuries quickly, which, combined with his ultimate shield, makes him one of the more difficult homunculi to beat. Sloth, representing the sin of sloth, possesses both incredible speed and strength. Despite his lazy demeanor, Sloth can move at an astonishing speeds, making him a dangerous opponent in battle. His immense strength allows him to crush his enemies with ease. Sloth's regen abilities are just like the other homunculi, enabling him to recover from wounds rapidly. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood's Wrath is also known as King Bradley. He possesses the ultimate eye, which grants him unparalleled precision and combat abilities. With the ultimate eye, Wrath can predict his opponent's movements and react with superhuman speed and precision. This ability makes him a deadly swordsman and formidable adversary. Wrath's regen abilities are not as pronounced and precise as the other homunculi, but his combat spells more than compensate for this. Pride has the ability to manipulate shadows. Pride can extend and control his shadow to attack, defend, and manipulate objects. His shadows can take on various forms, including sharp tendrils and monstrous shapes, making him a versatile and dangerous opponent. Pride, like all the other homunculi, also has the ability to regen. Now we go on to Father, or the Dwarf in the Flask. Father is the creator of the homunculi, and he possesses a vast array of abilities. He can perform alchemy without even needing to form a transmutation circle, manipulate matter and energy, and absorb the souls of others to increase his power. Father's abilities make him one of the most powerful beings in the series and in anime overall. As honorable mentions, to give it the most fairness in terms of numbers, we'll also give the homunculi the inclusion of all three of Wrath from the 2003 Fullmetal Alchemist, as well as Dante from the respective FMA version. Dante is a 400-year-old alchemist who has a vast experience in the science and could lend good support, while Wrath is a homunculus as well, but also has the ability to perform alchemy. And the last inclusion for the homunculi we'll give is the Crimson Alchemist Kimli, who is able to manipulate a person's blood flow into a gunpowder-like substance, turning them into a human bomb, simply by touching them. He can also create explosions from random objects as well, such as little pieces of dirt. I'm giving the homunculi Kimli just because he was kind of team homunculi during Brotherhood, and him and Pride seem to work pretty well together. As I've mentioned several times already, one common ability amongst all the homunculi is their regen. This ability allows them to heal from severe injuries rapidly, making them very difficult to kill. The extent of their regen varies, with some homunculi like Lust and Gluttony being able to recover from almost any wound, while others like Wrath are more limited in their regen capabilities, but still formidable. Another shared trait amongst the homunculi is their immortality. As artificial beings created through alchemy, they do not age and can live indefinitely. This immortality, combined with their regen abilities, makes them nearly invincible. However, they can be killed by destroying the Philosopher's Stones that reside as their core. Also, as a side-worthy side note, many of the homunculi possess the ability to manipulate others psychologically. Envy, with their shape-shifting abilities, can deceive and manipulate people by taking on the appearances of their loved ones. Lust uses her charm and seductive nature to influence others. These psychological tactics make the homunculi a deadly group for the most common people to confront. But before I start discussing how I feel that the homunculi take this fight, first, I'll talk about how I feel the Akatsuki win this fight. So to start off, the Akatsuki's diverse range of abilities provide them with a significant advantage. Members like Itachi and Pain possess powers that can affect multiple opponents simultaneously. Itachi's Manku Sharingan with techniques like Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu can incapacitate or eliminate the homunculi quickly. Though in the case of Amaterasu, while it definitely can kill each homunculus, each of them can regenerate right after. And with this being a live Itachi and not his Edo Tensei or quote-unquote living dead counterpart, he can't exactly spam it as it will eventually deteriorate his eyesight. So in most cases, he's got to be careful if and when he uses it. The argument against Tsukuyomi and Genjutsu as a whole is that it's up for debate whether or not the souls residing in each Philosopher's Stones that are inside each respective homunculus can help them break out of Genjutsu, similar to how a tailed beast can help break their Jinchuriki out of a Genjutsu. I know it's not a concrete argument, but I felt it was worth bringing up since at the very least, especially since we aren't even sure if the souls would even work to better the homunculus situation in the first place. Pain's Rinnegan allows him to control gravity and summon powerful creatures, giving him the ability to overwhelm the homunculi. Especially given the extra field of vision extended by each path of Pain and the animals that he summons, it gives Pain the advantage of crowd control. Secondly, the homunculi, while powerful, have a specific weakness. Each homunculus has a Philosopher's Stone that grants them near immortality, but once this stone is depleted, they become vulnerable. The Akatsuki, with their intelligence and experience, could exploit these weaknesses, except that if we're doing this in canon with each side not having knowledge of the other, then going in, they may or may not be aware of how the regen is happening and might lead to some confusion. But those like Obito and Itachi can see within each homunculus with their Sharingan, and with how clever they are, they could possibly come to the conclusion that they need to get rid of each respective stone. Another example of how the Akatsuki could overwhelm the homunculi is Datara. Datara's explosives clay can be used to repeatedly attack and deplete the homunculi's Philosopher's Stones. Though in the case of C4, two things have to be taken into account. One, if this is a group fight, it's likely that Datara can't safely release the C4 nanobots without possibly putting the other Akatsuki members at risk. Second, even if we take the friendly fire out of this, realistically, Datara can only use this once on the entire group of homunculi because each of them can regenerate right after. And depending on how much clay Datara has left, he may or may not be able to launch C4 again. The same case can be made with most of his wide range of explosives, when it comes to friendly fire that is, as he can't use explosions that cover too large of range without putting the other members at risk. And I mean, plus there is a chance that Kimberly can combat Datara's explosives, C4 aside, and while his explosives could also do damage to the other homunculi the same way Datara's could harm the Akatsuki, Kimberly has less room for worry due to the fact that the homunculi are able to regenerate for a while. However, the Akatsuki's teamwork and strategic planning are crucial. The group has a history of working together to achieve their goals, often combining their abilities in creative ways. For example, Kakazu's fire style can be enhanced with Orochimaru's wind style attack to create a deadly combination of attacks that the homunculi might struggle to counter. Additionally, the Akatsuki's ability to gather intelligence would play a significant role. Zetsu, with his ability to merge with the environment and gather information, could provide the Akatsuki with crucial details about the homunculi's abilities and weaknesses. This information would allow the Akatsuki to devise effective strategies and avoid potential traps set by the homunculi. Moreover, members like Sasori and Kakazu bring unique advantages to the table. Sasori's puppet mastery and poison, while may not be able to necessarily kill the homunculi, could incapacitate them, while Kakazu's multiple hearts and elemental jutsu provide both offense and defense. These abilities could be used to wear down the homunculi and deplete their Philosopher's Stones over time. The Akatsuki's ability to adapt and evolve their strategies is another key factor. They have faced and overcome numerous powerful opponents in the Naruto series, demonstrating their ability to learn and adapt. This adaptability would be essential in the battle against the homunculi, who they themselves are resilient and capable of regen, just like Sasori in the form of recreating himself and Pain in the form of the Naraka path. Furthermore, the Akatsuki's ruthlessness and willingness to do whatever it takes to achieve their goals would give them an edge. Unlike the protagonists in the Fullmetal Alchemist series, the Akatsuki have no moral qualms about using lethal force or underhanded tactics. This ruthlessness approach could catch the homunculi off guard and give the Akatsuki the upper hand. In addition, the Akatsuki's individual combat skills are superior in many ways. Members like Hidan, who is just essentially immortal, just like the homunculi. Hidan's ritual killing method could be particularly effective against the homunculi, as it could bypass their regen abilities, though he would have to repeatedly stab himself in the heart in order to finally get rid of each respective stone. The psychological warfare aspect can't be ignored also. The Akatsuki, particularly members like Itachi, is adept at manipulating their opponent's minds. This psychological manipulation could be used to create doubt and fear among the homunculi, potentially causing them to make mistakes or turn against each other. But again, as I said earlier, this may or may not be too effective, with the stones being possibly able to counter genjutsu. Something to note though is that the Akatsuki has access to several powerful summoning techniques, providing them with additional support in battle. Pain's ability to summon the Ghetto statue and other powerful creatures could be used to distract and overwhelm the homunculi, giving the Akatsuki opportunities to strike. The Akatsuki's mastery of various jutsu also provides them with versatility in combat. Techniques like genjutsu, which can create powerful illusions, could be used to deceive and trap the homunculi, assuming that we are putting that on the table. But this versatility allows the Akatsuki to adapt to the homunculi's regen abilities and find ways to deplete their Philosopher's Stones effectively. Additionally, the Akatsuki's experience in dealing with powerful and nigh immortal opponents gives them a strategic advantage. They have often fought against Jinchuriki and other formidable foes, which has honed their combat skills and strategic thinking. This experience would be invaluable in a battle against the homunculi. The Akatsuki's ability to exploit their environment is another key advantage in this fight. Members like Tobi, or Obito, have shown the ability to manipulate space-time, allowing them to pretty much remove any of the homunculi from the battlefield. An actual realistic way I see the homunculi coming out on top in this one is if each of them are able to survive long enough for Father to take them all into his being, or in other words, take each of their Philosopher's Stones. Then it's possible he could actually take this, as we saw Father with just one Philosopher's Stone survive numerous attacks, which included spikes, metal projectiles, and even a point-blank fire attack from Mustang. As far as his destructive power, we've seen Father level the battlefield in a similar manner as something like Majin Vegeta did in the Buu arc at the World Martial Arts Stadium. It's also worth noting that it's likely that Father could gain each of the homunculi's abilities if he does this, as Greed's ultimate shield was able to affect Father in some way once he regains Greed's stone. So this would be Father at full power, plus all the abilities of the homunculi, with the added arsenal of O3 Wrath, Dante, and Kimberly. Especially if, for a hypothetical case, we give Father his other half, so to speak, which is Hohenheim. Hohenheim also has a Philosopher's Stone in him, which is filled with hundreds of lives and could last for a while. So Father has two cases that he could potentially pull out a win here. One is if he is at full power, meaning he has both his own original stone and the other is Hohenheim's as well, then he may not need to take the other homunculi stones from them and could fight alongside them, which all in all, it would be a crazy fight, but Father in particular would still be tough to kill. Or two, Father simply could just take all the stones from them anyway and overpower himself and could withstand most of the Akatsuki's attacks. Most basic elemental jutsu such as Kakazu's abilities and potentially Amaterasu would likely be rendered useless. It's also worth noting that Father is quick to absorb people into a new stone, as we saw in the final fight. So if he's quick enough, there's a really good possibility he could maybe absorb some of the Akatsuki members into a new stone if he is quick enough. However, jutsus like Planetary Devastation and Totsuka Blade can be used to defeat him. Even though I'd argue that Father's destructive power could destroy the gravity sphere of Planetary Devastation as soon as it's being launched, but that is being generous and assuming he'd be able to pick up on what's going on in time to do something about it. On that note, the counter argument to Pain's Planetary Devastation and even Almighty Push is the same case as Datara's C4 and long-range explosives. Pain can't use Planetary Devastation without putting the other Akatsuki members, aside from Obito, at risk. Likewise, with Almighty Push, while Pain can use small-scale pushes safely, he can't use chaotic Almighty Push around the other Akatsuki members even if he felt pressured to do so. The best way for the Akatsuki to win this is if they use numbers to consistently attack Father and make him constantly use up his Philosopher's Stone, and provide distractions for either Obito or Itachi to remove him from the battlefield using either Kamui or the Totsuka Blade, which if it's just Father by himself is definitely a lot more easier than not, but if it's at full power and the other homunculi / alchemist are still providing support, it's a lot more difficult. And for anybody who thinks I'm overestimating the homunculi, keep in mind homunculi like Bradley and Sloth specifically were able to go through numerous soldiers and fight OP people such as Armstrong, Fu, and Greed all at the same time. Plus, Bradley took out a tank while also fighting several soldiers on top of Fu and Greedly. And not too long afterwards, he was able to fight Scar while he was severely injured and almost beat him. Another likely scenario for the homunculi to win this is that if they are to put most, if not all, of the other Akatsuki members in a position where they can get sucked up by gluttony, then there's a good chance that most of the Akatsuki members cannot get out. But for those like Orochimaru, who has the reverse summoning, and Obito, who can just suck himself out of into the Kamui dimension, the others are kind of stuck there. I mean, yes, in theory, Obito can take all of them, and Orochimaru could probably do the same if he summons something like Manda, but if other members of the Akatsuki, aside from those two, are sucked in, then it's likely that they are GG'd, because there is no way out that I know of Gluttony's stomach. This fight is a lot more chaotic than I gave it credit for the more and more I thought about it over the weeks that I was going over how it would go. At the end of the day, I'd probably still give it to the Akatsuki to win more often than not. I think they win either scenario, but if it's just Father at full power with access to all the Philosopher's Stones from the homunculi, then I think the Akatsuki have an easier time, albeit not too easy. In that scenario, I say they take it 7 or 8 out of 10. If it's Father with having his own stone, plus Hohenheim's stone, plus the other homunculi and Greeling, Dante, and Kimberly, I believe it becomes a bit closer than most people would think, but I think the arsenal of the Akatsuki is just more deadly and more to worry about than the homunculi. But in this scenario, I give it to the Akatsuki with a lucky 6 out of 10. So there y'all have it, the Akatsuki of Naruto versus the Homunculi of Fullmetal. This one was really cool. I was excited to get to this one. I've been wanting to do this one for a while. These are like my two favorite series, next to Dragon Ball as well. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know in the comments who you think wins. If you want more cross-verse videos, let me know in the comments what you guys think as well. And until my next one, the Lightning Blade out.